Vamos a esperar un minuto más y luego vamos a empezar. Bueno, bienvenidos y hola a todos. Gracias por estar aquí hoy. Estamos muy contentos de contar con ustedes mientras nos preparamos para el Día de Defensa de la Primera Infancia y aprendemos cómo participar de manera informada, con confianza y listos para abogar por los niños y las familias en todo Illinois. Antes de continuar, me gustaría presentar a Elizabeth Torres, que nos guiará sobre cómo acceder a la interpretación en español para la sesión de hoy. Hola, Elizabeth.
Sí, muchas gracias, Brian. Mi nombre es Liz Torres y estoy aquí con la Cooperativa Comunitaria del Lenguaje para poder proveer justicia lingüística y así todo el mundo pueda hablar y escuchar en el idioma de su corazón. En un momento vamos a encender la interpretación y en ese momento usted verá un pequeño icono de globo terráqueo en la parte inferior de su pantalla de Zoom, o si está usted en un teléfono celular o en una tableta, puede tener acceso por medio del menú de más, que son los tres puntitos. Y si tiene algún problema, por favor póngalo en el chat para que podamos ayudarle. Hi, good evening. My name is Liz Torres, and I am here with the Community Language Co-op. And today I am here so that I can provide some language justice because this group is great about providing language justice to everybody so that everybody can hear and speak in the language of their heart. So we will turn on interpretation momentarily, and at that time, you will be able to see a small globe icon at the bottom of your screen. And if you're on a tablet or on a cell phone, you will be able to access it through the More menu. And you can go to the More menu, click on it, and select the language of your heart. I do ask you that if you are speaking in English, you kind of take into consideration that Spanish is a little bit longer than English. So if you see me do this, that means that you might be going a little bit too fast. But we can go ahead and get started.
Muchas gracias, Liz. We can continue on the next slide. Vamos a seguir a la próxima. Ahora, antes de comenzar, nos gustaría presentarnos y compartir por qué este trabajo es importante para nosotros. Mi nombre es Brian Herrera, el Community Engagement Manager del Latino Policy Forum. Trabajo con padres en todo Illinois ofreciendo talleres desde el nacimiento hasta la universidad para ayudar a las familias, apoyar el crecimiento y éxito de sus hijos. Este trabajo es personal para mí como padre. Mi hijo fue colocado en una lista de espera para una guardería debido de no tener suficientes educadores. Esa experiencia me mostró lo importante que es el acceso a programas de la primera infancia de calidad. Por eso el trabajo que estamos haciendo hoy es tan importante. Ahora le paso las palabras a mis copresentadores para que se presenten. Mi mamá.
Gracias. Hola, me llamo es Nauma Nagahawata. I am the Assistant Advocacy Director at Illinois Action for Children, and I coordinate the We the Village Coalition. I'm also a Chicago public school parent with lived experience navigating access to safe, quality early childhood education and affordable childcare in Illinois. I've worked for over a decade on gender, race, and human rights issues in the US, Ethiopia, and Darfur through a progressive policy advocacy lens. And now I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Angelica Cleveland.
Hi, my name is Angelica Cleveland. I am the Senior Program Manager at Start Early, where I support our Illinois policy team and our Raising Illinois team. I convene the Early Childhood Advocacy Day Planning Group, and I help project manage the event. I'm excited to be here with you all today, and I cannot wait to see you on May 13th. Passing it back to Brian.
Muchas gracias. Ahora nos gustaría escuchar de ustedes y conocer quiénes están presentes hoy con nosotros. Si pueden, por favor, tomar un momento para compartir sus respuestas en el chat, su nombre, si han participado en Advocacy Day, o también si quieren poner una frase o una palabra que significa la incidencia para ustedes. So, tomen tiempo para escribir en el chat para conocer quién está con nosotros. Voy a esperar un minuto, pero si por favor pueden compartir en el chat. Ok. Tomen su tiempo y cuando puedan, por favor, escriben. Vamos a seguir con la presentación para respetar a su tiempo. Ahora se lo voy a pasar a Neoma para que nos platique un poco más del Día de Abogacía.
Welcome, everyone. We're here today to provide an advocacy overview that we hope will help you to understand what advocacy is and why it matters, learn how decisions about early childhood programs are made, explore current early childhood funding proposals that impact your community, and build confidence to use your voice and take action, and prepare for ECAD on May 13th in Springfield. We want you to leave this session knowing that when parents and providers speak up, systems start to listen, which is where change begins. Let's go to the next slide. So let's talk a little bit about advocacy. Advocacy is supporting, defending, or arguing for a cause or idea in public to influence opinion, policy, and resource allocation. Advocates work to bring about change by raising awareness, organizing campaigns, and engaging with policymakers and the public. Advocacy for early childhood education and care involves actively supporting and promoting the rights and needs of young children and their families. The components of advocacy include education, which is understanding the problem and being able to communicate the nature of the problem to others. Leadership, which means people who are willing to take action and speak up about an issue. This includes building relationships and strong community voices by organizing communities to speak together. And action and engagement, which includes developing a strategy with short, medium, and long-term goals, and implementing action to affect change. Let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So, types of advocacy include self-advocacy, which is speaking up for yourself, expressing your needs and interests and your rights effectively. Individual advocacy, which is empowering others to assert their autonomy, their personal voice, and their rights. Systemic advocacy, which is creating change for everyone, fixing the whole system so that it works better for everyone. This includes change through law, policy, and practices. Also, public awareness advocacy, which is spreading the word for change and sharing information and actions through events, campaigns, and media efforts. Also, legislative advocacy, which is making laws work for people. This includes influencing the creation and amendment of laws and policies. This requires working with lawmakers, policymakers, and other people with influence. Let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Advocacy helps raise awareness, but we turn that awareness into change through public policy. Public policy is defined as any legislation, regulation, rule, program, or practice, and its interpretation. It's created or implemented by the public or private sectors to improve quality of life for an individual, a group, or society. I'd like to share a quick video on the ways public policy connects to early childhood. can also skip the video if it's not working.
The growth and prosperity of any economy depends on the talent and productivity of its workforce. Any successful businessman, policymaker or investor would agree that the quality of workers is one of the most important drivers for our economic success, and that investing in formal education and on-the-job training is essential to improve workforce talent. Yet quite surprisingly, science has proven that many of the skills for success that adults have start to get built much earlier than we think, during the early years of life, when young children acquire the skills and abilities they need for the future. Informed economists are thrilled by the numbers. Investments made in quality early childhood education boosts economic competitiveness, yields higher rates of return, and is more cost-effective than intervening later. Way before babies start to talk, they have an amazing capacity to acquire the foundational knowledge for language, maths, and even creative and scientific thinking. They also start building softer skills that are correlated with success in adult life, such as their ability to manage their emotions, making them less prone to stress and depression later on. Young children also start building their focus and attention muscles, which as adults translates into a stronger ability to set goals, initiate plans, manage distractions, and solve problems. All attributes of a high performer in any organization. Science and economists have demonstrated that young children enrolled in high-quality early childhood development programs start acquiring the right skills early on, and the benefits last a lifetime. They are 4 times more likely to continue their education, more likely to get highly skilled jobs that pay more, and are healthier and happier as adults. As a society, these high-quality programs have also resulted in reduced social costs, less inequality, and even lower drug abuse, incarceration rates, and remedial education. So earnings go up and welfare goes down. Economists studying the impact of investing in the early years have calculated an average annual return of 10 to 13%. The science is clear and the economics pan out. As parents, educators, professionals and policymakers, we need to know that we have scientifically validated approaches and programs that dramatically increase the potential for every child to thrive. Not acting on
Muchas gracias por demostrar este video. Y por favor, si pueden poner en el chat qué es algo que les gustó del video, que aprendieron, o qué es algo que es importante. Si quieren, si gustan escribirlo en el chat. Pero ahora que tenemos una mejor comprensión de qué son la incidencia y política pública, hablemos de por qué este trabajo es importante, especialmente cuando se trata de la primera infancia. ¿Podemos seguir a la próxima slide? Gracias. Para entender por qué la incidencia de la primera infancia es importante, es fundamental observar lo que está ocurriendo aquí mismo en Illinois. Hay más de 858,000 niños menores de 5 años en nuestro estado. Esta es una etapa crítica del desarrollo que define su futuro. Al mismo tiempo, alrededor del 17% de los niños menores de 5 años en Illinois viven por debajo del nivel federal de pobreza. Esto significa que muchas familias enfrentan barreras para tener acceso a cuidado infantil de calidad y oportunidades de aprendizaje temprano. Aquí en nuestra región, el condado de Cook y los condados circundantes tienen algunos de los números más altos de niños de bajos ingresos en el estado. Lo que esto nos dice es que la necesidad es real y está cerca de casa. Por eso los programas y financiamiento para la primera infancia son tan importantes, como vimos en el video, ¿verdad? Hay que seguir a la próxima slide. Gracias. Ahora que hemos visto la necesidad aquí en Illinois, hablemos de por qué es tan importante invertir en la educación de la primera infancia y el impacto que tienen en los niños, las familias y las comunidades. La primera razón es fomenta un desarrollo saludable. Los programas de la primera infancia apoyan el desarrollo del cerebro durante los años más críticos, ayudando a desarrollar habilidades sociales, emocionales y cognitivas. Y como vimos en el video, hay un retorno de 13% de la inversión. Las investigaciones muestran que por cada dólar invertido en educación de la primera infancia, puede haber hasta un 13% de retorno a través de mejores resultados en educación, salud e ingresos futuros. La otra razón es cierra las brechas de logro. El acceso temprano a programas de calidad ayuda a nivelar las oportunidades, especialmente para niños de comunidades desatendidas. Y la cuarta razón es facilita la transición y prepara a los niños para la escuela. Los niños ingresan al kinder mejor preparados académicamente, socialmente y también emocionalmente. Eso es lo que los posiciona para el éxito a largo plazo. Ahora vamos a hablar de la abogacía en nivel estatal. Se lo voy a pasar al próximo slide a Neoma.
Thank you so much, Brian. So, now that we've learned a little bit about the importance of early childhood in Illinois, let's discuss how we fund it. Let's go to the next slide. So, what's happening with our Illinois state budget? While some early childhood programs in Illinois receive federal funding, we mostly support early childhood through our state budget. So, how does our state budget work? We need to pass a balanced budget each year. In order to pass a balanced budget, legislators must prioritize a bunch of different objectives, sometimes requiring cuts in programs or maintaining current funding levels. Early childhood advocates want to ensure that early childhood remains a priority. That's why your voice is so important. By reaching out to your elected representatives, you help them to understand what funding is needed for early childhood here in Illinois. Let's go to our next slide. So let's talk a little bit about the state budget process. How does it work? The state budget process follows a few key steps. The governor begins the budget process by presenting a budget address in mid-February. This year, the address was given on February 18th. This address outlines the governor's proposed spending plan and, for the upcoming fiscal year, details funding allocations for state departments and programs. Following the governor's address, the Illinois House of Representatives and the state Senate begin estimating financial needs and revenues for the state. This step involves a detailed review and adjustment of the governor's proposed budget figures based on current economic conditions and revenue forecasts. Both the House and the Senate conduct a series of committee hearings. These hearings allow legislators and the public to provide input on the proposed budget. Testimonies from government agencies, advocacy groups, and citizens help shape the final legislative response to the governor's proposal. Behind the scenes, there's extensive internal decision-making within both chambers of the legislature. During this phase, the Appropriations Committee and other committees discuss and revise the budget proposal to address concerns and priorities that come up during the hearings. In May, the House or the Senate introduce their budget bill in response to the governor's proposed budget and budget negotiations. This bill may contain modifications to the governor's initial proposal, reflecting the legislature's priorities and input from hearings. Once the budget bills are introduced, Additional hearings may be held to further tweak proposals and provide another opportunity for public input. By late May, each chamber votes on its respective budget bill. If the House and the Senate pass different versions of a bill, a conference committee may be needed to reconcile the differences. The final budget bill, reconciled and passed by both chambers, must then be sent to the governor before the end of May to align with the state's fiscal year, which starts July 1st. The governor can either sign the bill into law, making it the state budget for the new fiscal year, or veto it fully or in part. In the event of a veto, the legislature can try to override the veto with a 3/5 majority in both chambers. So let's go to the next slide. So what is the governor asking for this year? Well, on February 18th, Governor Pritzker released his budget proposal for fiscal year 2027, which, as I mentioned, begins on July 1st, 2026 of this year. His proposal is calling for a $55 million increase for childcare, level funding, which means no increases for Smart Start workforce grants, a $15 million increase for early intervention, level funding for home visiting, level funding for the Early Childhood Block Grant, and level funding for the Early Childhood Access Consortium for Equity, or ECACE, scholarship. Next slide, please. So while the governor avoided early childhood program cuts, his proposed levels of funding do not meet the current needs of the field. So what do? Early childhood advocates are asking for the following numbers. We are asking for a $130 million increase for childcare. This includes $80 million for the Child Care Assistance Program, or CCAP, and $50 million for the Smart Start workforce grants. Additional funding will maintain current caseloads and will provide center-based increases for both home and center-based programs. Advocates are also requesting a $40 million increase for early intervention. This investment would allow the Illinois Department of Early Childhood to increase pay for EI providers to retain and attract new therapists into the program, and to improve referral, intake, and evaluation processes, and ensure services are available in a timely way. We're also asking for a $5 million increase for home visiting, which could increase provider compensation to state recommended levels and expand services for families. Advocates are also asking for increased investment for the Early Childhood Block Grant. This would strengthen program quality by supporting programs to shift to more full-day preschool slots, and improve the cost per child rate for current programs to work towards reflecting the true cost of care. Lastly, advocates are calling for a $5 million increase for the ECA scholarship. This investment will increase the number of qualified early childhood educators by promoting advanced credentials and degrees, expanding classroom capacity. I'll now pass it over to Brian to review the ways in which advocates request increased funding.
Muchas gracias, Neoma. Y gracias por compartir esa información. ¿Quién son las personas que influyen las decisiones? Podemos empezar con el gobernador, los representantes estatales o los senadores estatales, que desempeñan un papel clave en la aprobación de leyes y presupuestos, por lo que es fundamental que escuchen directamente de las familias, como personas como ustedes y los proveedores, sobre lo que más importa en la comunidad. Pero la incidencia no termina ahí. Construir relaciones con organizaciones comunitarias, expertos en la primera infancia e incluso con los medios de comunicación ayuda a amplificar nuestras voces, generar conciencia sobre los problemas y crear impulso para el cambio. Vamos a seguir a la próxima slide. Next slide, please. Gracias. Entonces, hay muchas maneras de hacer incidencia y todas son importantes. Vamos a ver unos ejemplos. Podemos empezar escribiendo cartas, comunicando con legisladores, puede ser con cartas de correo o puede ser electrónico, para compartir sus historias, sus inquietudes. Y luego también es otra estrategia es la educación pública y legislativa, ayudar a otros a comprender la importancia de los temas de la primera infancia. También puede ser comunicación y medios, utilizar redes sociales, compartir historias y generar conciencia en su comunidad. La última es acercamiento legislativo, reunirse con legisladores, participar en días de incidencia y construir relaciones. Investiga a su legislador con anticipación y vean qué han votado, qué tipo de posturas previas han tenido, declaraciones públicas. Conecten con ellos en un tema que ellos apoyan. Por ejemplo, ellos pueden estar apoyando la fuerza laboral, la seguridad, la transportación, la educación del Estado. Y podemos hablar como los ejemplos que vimos en el video, donde todo la importancia de la infancia ayuda a preparar a niños que sean adultos que ayudan a la fuerza laboral o la educación o la seguridad, ¿verdad? Let's continue to the next slide. Hay que seguir. So, ahora que hemos hablado sobre las diferentes maneras de hacer incidencia, uno de los pasos más importantes es saber quién nos representa. Es importante conocer a sus funcionarios electos porque son las personas que toman decisiones que impactan en nuestros hijos, nuestras familias y nuestras comunidades. Ellos son quien puede reunirse, compartir su historia y pedirles que apoyen a programas que benefician la primera infancia. En pantalla verán un código QR que pueden escanear para buscar rápidamente a su representante estatal y senador estatal, según su lugar de residencia. Tomen un momento para escanearlo y descubrir quién representa a su comunidad. Y también estamos poniendo en el chat donde pueden ir, si no lo pueden escanear, pueden ir a donde está el chat, ese enlace para poder buscar quién nos representa. Muchas gracias. Se lo voy a pasar a Neoma para seguir.
Gracias, Brian. So, now that we've talked about finding who our elected representatives are, how do you talk to them? What do we do? So let's talk about one way that you can talk to your elected representatives. One important way to do this is to craft an elevator pitch. Overall, an elevator pitch is a tool that we use in advocacy to make a quick, impactful argument about why a legislator should support or prioritize early childhood education initiatives. An elevator pitch is brief, it's persuasive, and you can use it to spark interest in your issue. In this case, we're going to talk a little bit about the ECA scholarship, but you can use the elevator pitch for any aspect of early childhood education and care that you would like to talk about. Typically, it lasts for about 20 to 30 seconds, the length of an elevator ride, hence the name. An elevator pitch is designed to provide concise, compelling introduction to an issue, delivering enough information to engage the listener and invite further conversation. When addressing legislators, an elevator pitch serves several specific purposes. It creates awareness. An elevator pitch quickly informs the legislator about key issues or needs within the early childhood sector. It highlights critical information that requires attention and action. It creates opportunities for engagement. An elevator pitch aims to engage the listener's curiosity or concern for a topic, prompting them to want to learn more or get involved. It also facilitates action. An elevator pitch encourages specific action. whether it's support for legislation, for funding, or for policy changes that will benefit the field. Also, it supports relationship building. An elevator pitch helps establish a connection or start a relationship with a legislator, serving as a stepping stone to further dialogue and collaboration on early childhood issues. Let's go to the next slide. So let's talk about some quick tips for crafting your pitch. Start with your name and who you are. Identify your goal. Communicate why you're passionate about your goal. Identify the barrier or the problem that affects your goal. Use storytelling to make your pitch relatable. Reinforce your goal, your reason for engaging in this work, and most importantly, be sure to practice. Let's go to the next slide. So I am going to do a quick role play on how an elevator pitch should go. The first thing I do is I introduce myself. Hello, Representative Herrera. My name is Naoma Nagahawata. I am your constituent, and I'm an early childhood assistant in Peoria, Illinois. The next thing I do is I lift up the issue. In this case, I'm going to talk about ECA scholarship. I'm going to share some facts about the program. I was hoping to speak with you about the Early Childhood Access Consortium for Equity, or ECACE, scholarship program, which supports the early childhood workforce and expands the early childhood professional pipeline. It's currently underfunded and needs an additional $5 million in state funding for FY27 in order for it to continue to support early childhood education and care students. In FY25, demand for the scholarship exceeded available funding. The Illinois Student Assistance Commission, or ISAC, received over 3,000 applications for the scholarship, but was only able to fund between 600 and 750 scholarships. This was because the program only got $5 million in state funding, leaving the majority of people that applied without support. This pattern has continued into fiscal year 2026, where the demand remains high, but funding has not increased. That means hundreds to thousands of aspiring and current early childhood educators are still being turned away. That's expanding the gap between the workforce and state investment. So now, after sharing some facts and my ask, I'm going to share my personal story. So my personal story could go something like this. In 2024, I benefited from this program and was able to complete a year of early childhood classes towards my degree. Because of the 2025 decrease in ECA's funding, I no longer got the scholarship, and I will not be able to finish my program and fulfill my dream to be a lead preschool teacher. So now, after sharing my personal story, I'm going to reiterate my ask to Representative Herrera. Representative Herrera, this is why I'm here with you today. ECACE needs a $5 million increase, bringing the program to $10 million in total. This would allow me and others like me to finish our studies. Is this something you would support? So that was my elevator pitch. Here's a little tip. Try to get a yes or a response from your legislator. If you get a yes, you can always follow up and remind your elected official that they support the funding increase, especially when it's time for them to vote on the issue. Now, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Brian, who's going to introduce a message from Illinois House Representative Joyce Mason.
Muchas gracias, Neoma. Si yo fuera un representante, yo claramente apoyaría su esfuerzo. Ahora no vamos a ver un video porque está en inglés, pero nomás quería compartir lo que menciona la representante Joyce Mason de aquí en Illinois. Ella comparte diferentes maneras que podemos abogar para nuestros hijos, que no tengamos miedo, que también los representantes son padres, también ellos entienden la necesidad y más que nunca es tan importante invertir en estos programas. Entonces es muy importante de hacer esas citas con nuestros legisladores que nos representan en nuestras comunidades y compartir nuestras historias, cómo aprendimos a hacer el elevator pitch, para compartir no nomás nuestra historia, pero también ver todas esas, como vimos en el video, y las diferentes razones de haciendo una inversión en la educación temprana va a ayudar muchas familias y nuestras comunidades también. Entonces vamos a seguir. Let's move to the next slide. Entonces, la incidencia es más fuerte cuando se basa en las experiencias reales de proveedores, familias y quienes son directamente impactados por estos sistemas. Vamos a escuchar a Azar Kunani, educadora de la primera infancia y miembro de la coalición We the Village, quien compartirá su experiencia con Advocacy Day y por qué la incidencia de la primera infancia es tan importante. Azar.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Azar Kunani, founder of Kids Academy Early Learning Center, founder of Say Yes to Childcare, and co-founder of the International Seven Leaders Museum. For over 30 years, I have served children and families here in Illinois. And I would like to share a few thoughts on this importance of CCAP and why advocacy matters. If a parent loses childcare, they lose their ability to work and everything that depends on it, actually. I am here today not just as a provider, but as a witness. And I know many of you here are witness too. A witness to working parent doing everything they can to stay employed and support their families. A witness to children who need stability, safety, and care during the most critical years of their development. And a witness to a system that supports them, but is under strain. CCAP has been essential in stabilizing community-based childcare centers like ours. It supports teachers, children, families, and workforce that depends on a reliable childcare. It is not just a program, it is a lifeline. A mother once came to our center and told me, if I lose childcare, I lose my job. Through CCAP, her child remained in a safe, nurturing environment. She kept her job, became stable, became hopeful, and her child thrived. This is the impact of CCAP. CCAP supports workforce stability and retention, teacher well-being and dignity, children's learning and development, fair wages, and competitive hiring. But we are facing real challenges. Reimbursement rate not reflect the true cost of care. Payments are not always timely or reliable. Costs continue to rise. And in Illinois, childcare centers are still treated like business when it comes to property taxes. Instead of being recognized as a part of our educational system adding additional financial pressure on providers. This is not sustainable. And this is exactly why being here today at ECAD matters so much. This is our opportunity to come together and speak directly to our legislators and share what our community truly needs. As part of broader advocacy community, including We the Village, we are here to ensure that the voices of children, families, and educators are heard. Because our voices and experiences should guide the decision being made. When we invest in CCAP, we are not just funding childcare. We are supporting working families. We are strengthening the Illinois workforce. We are investing in children's futures. So today, we respectfully ask, please fully fund CCAP. Ensure reimbursement reflect the real cost of care. Provide timely, reliable payment. Recognize childcare as essential education, including fair policies such as addressing property tax burdens. We all see this every day in our classroom, in our homes, and in our communities. CCAP has given our center stability, our teachers dignity, and our children consistency. But truly sustain high-quality childcare in Illinois, continued investment is not optional. It is essential. Childcare is not a luxury. It's not optional. It is essential. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Azar. That was beautiful. Now, muchas gracias, Azar. Eso era maravilloso. Gracias por compartir. Ahora se lo voy a pasar a Angélica, que nos va a platicar de qué deberíamos expectar el día de abogacía cuando vayamos en Springfield. Ella va, si tienen preguntas, por favor tomen nota y aquí pueden preguntar. Angélica.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Asar. I'll talk to you, as Brian said, a little bit about what to expect at ECAD. ECAD is an empowering event. The day is fluid, and it may feel a little chaotic. It could feel overwhelming. There will be lots of people and legislators whom you may have scheduled meetings with. They may have abrupt changes, and they will either need to cancel, delay, or reschedule their meetings. If you need help during the day, please come to our event staff. We'll be wearing purple t-shirts. You can also ask for help from the information desk or even from the Capitol Building Police. The flow of the day is something like this. Arrive, have meetings with your legislators, attend the rally, have more meetings with more legislators, head home. We've tried to create a loose agenda, one that gives you as much time as possible for legislator visits. You can also stop by our event's home base, the library, when it best works for your schedule, so that you can let us know you are in attendance, so that you can grab lunch, and so that you can get your t-shirt. Buses will head to Springfield around 6:30 a.m. Exact times will be shared with you by email from us or from your group leader. Buses arrive between 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m., but there could be unforeseen delays. That's something to be mindful of as you try to schedule meetings. If you're driving down on your own, this will be less of a concern for you. On the fourth floor of the library, our team will be available for advocacy consultation. We will answer questions and help you practice your elevator pitch. On the first floor of the library, there's a room reserved for parents and guardians with young children in case you need a quieter space to sit in. Please stay with children at all times. Across the street from the library is the Capitol building. This is where legislator offices will be, and it's also where our event rally will take place. The rally starts at 12 p.m. Accessible seating will be provided at the rally. ASL and Spanish interpretation will also be available at the rally and throughout the day. Our friends from Teach Plus and the Start with Play Coalition will also have a demonstration in the Capitol building. They'll have activities to show the importance of play in early childhood development. After the rally, you will have about an hour to meet with legislators. At 1:45 p.m., bus riders should return to the library and board the buses. At 2 p.m., buses will depart. The event will end, and most of our staff will leave. But if you drove down, you can continue to meet with legislators and leave when you're ready. So that's the agenda. When you come to the event, we will have a lot of resources for you, and many of them will be collated into your attendee folder. The list of materials is included in these slides and can be found on the Start Early event website. I want to highlight a few of these resources. The Lawmaker Face Sheet. This will be provided at registration check-in if, when you registered, you gave us your legislator info. It includes contact info and a photo so you can spot your legislator anywhere. Key committees. These are key early childhood related committees that you can attend so that you can watch the legislative process. You may also find your lawmaker at committee and try to get them to come out and talk to you. Business cards. At 12 p.m., senators and representatives may be in their chambers. You can use business cards to call your senator out of chamber or your representative. Instructions are included in the What to Expect at the Capitol document. The budget fact sheet. There will be 2 copies of these so that you can give them to your legislators. And lastly, the Babies Can't Wait sticker. This is related to the Raising Illinois Early Intervention campaign. Wear this sticker and encourage others to do the same. It lets everyone know you are a champion for early intervention. Follow the QR code on the sticker to take further action for EI. A few tips. Prepare for lots of walking and standing. Bring snacks and water. Get to know other advocates. If you don't get a chance to speak with your legislator, stop by their office. Leave the fact sheet for them and make sure they know you stopped by. You can tell their legislative assistant that you were there. After the event, complete our survey to tell us how the meeting went, who you spoke with. There are police throughout the Capitol building. They can be very helpful. There will also be security at entrances and you will have to submit to have your bags searched, and you will need to walk through a metal detector. But it's routine and it's quick. We'll be sending you an email with more information. And for those of you who have a particular interest in early intervention, we're hosting an early intervention focused rally on May 6th. Lastly, if you're on social media, please use hashtag AdvocateECE and ECAD26. Passing it back to Naoma.
Thank you so much, Angelica. So, we have shared a lot of information with you today and would love to know if you have any questions. So, if you do have questions, actually, I don't think we need to do the raise hand function. I think it's a small enough group. So, if you do have any questions, take yourself off mute and ask away.
También pueden hacer sus preguntas en el chat. Si tienen preguntas, por favor pueden escribir en el chat. Y también mencionamos que toda esa información se los vamos a mandar por correo, electrónicamente. Y también tenemos I don't know if we can put the links for the toolkits.
I have them in Spanish.
También vamos a compartir un toolkit en español. Esto nos va a ayudar a tener todo lo que necesitamos para poder abogar con nuestros legisladores, nuestros representantes. Y está ahorita aquí en el chat, está en español. Por favor, grábalo y compártelo. Pero hay preguntas, any questions? Ok, y también tenemos un código para nuestra encuesta, nuestro survey. So, si quieren, aquí está el link en el chat también, al fin, si quieren hacer la encuesta para ayudarnos mejorar y también si hay algo que no hablamos y les gustaría saber más, por favor, ahí nos pueden dejar saber. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Thank you for coming. Okay.
Okay. I think there's no further comments. Thank you, everyone. Muchas gracias. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you again. Muchas gracias.